What up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie Smith, and welcome to another weekly edition of Recent Reads. If you are new here, Recent Reads is just a video where I talk about all of the books that I've finished, the ones that I'm still currently reading, and the books I plan to read next. Before we get into the books, I am hosting a Ferris Wheel Press ink giveaway over on Instagram. Go find this post on my Instagram feed, which is at the_nerdy_narrative. Follow me, follow Ferris Wheel Press, comment with 3 friends. You'll be in the running to win a full bottle of ink, 38 milliliters, and a Ferris Wheel Press carousel fountain pen. So if you're not already a user of fountain pens, but you've always been curious to try, this is the perfect starter kit for you. You also get to choose both the color of your pen and the color of ink that you want. All right, now let's get into talking about some books. So the first book that I finished this week was The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. This is book 2 in the Wheel of Time series. And while I love The Eye of the World, because that's where everything begins, that's where we meet a lot of characters, that's where we get a taste of what is to come, this is the book that cemented I was in for the long haul with this series. Jordan spends about the first 20-30% of this one doing a whole lot of setup that takes some time. After that, it's breakneck pace, at least to me. I was all in. In fact, it was chapter 26. I came across something I completely had forgotten about. I didn't realize it was going to happen so soon. I didn't remember that it got started in this book, and I was in it to the end. I couldn't read anything else. Everything else got sat down until I finished The Great Hunt. I absolutely loved rereading this book. It brought back so many memories. As soon as I thumped this back cover closed, finishing this book, I remembered this was the one where I was like, I am a fan of fantasy. I am going to read everything fantasy I can get my little hands on. Once I finished The Great Hunt, I did pick up Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club, and this book was an absolute delight. I heard that there was a lot of humor involved, and I was hoping it was going to be kind of like C.K. McDonald's The Stranger Times series or his crime thriller series, which is the Dublin trilogy. It's not quite as funny as those two series, or it's a little bit of a different humor. You laugh because you know people like this group of people that you're going to meet here. There are so many things to love about this book. The characters are, of course, the first thing that come to mind. They were so funny. The Thursday Murder Club is a little group composed of 4 retired people who live in Cooper's Chase Retirement Village. Every week, they meet together and they talk about old unsolved cases from the past. One of them has a whole bunch of police files that she is not supposed to have, but they have a lot of fun going over the files line by line, trying to solve the mystery, or at least they solve it in their minds. And then one day they hit the lottery. There's an actual murderer that's connected to Cooper's Chase, and they are on the case. And watching this little group of old folks just steamroll over cops to get involved and how they maneuver people, but they're so stinking cute about it. They're so smart. And what I love most about this book is the fact that it proved to me I don't have to be afraid of when I'm reaching my late 70s, 80s, that I'm going to be alone. These people were these ages, they were still making meaningful relationships. They were doing fun things to keep their minds sharp. I just absolutely love that. And I don't have kids, and I've often wondered, am I going to regret not having kids when I get older? Am I going to need somebody to take care of me and I'm not going to have anybody? All of these people had kids that pretty much ignored them. There was one that had a pretty good relationship with his son in there, but oh my gosh. Y'all, this book was amazing. I cannot wait to read the rest of the series, and we are going to have a live show over on the Wine and Crime Book Club on this channel tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you've read it, you want to come hear the rest of us talk about it who read it for the first time, absolutely come and join us. These are the only 2 books that I finished this week. I am still currently working on the arc for American Cannibal. This book comes out on March the 7th. It's a collection anthology of short stories by many big name authors where the theme is cannibalism. I thought, am I going to be able to read an entire collection about cannibalism? While some of it makes you sick, it's disgusting, it's nauseating, it's so well written. These authors have made me love opening this collection every morning to see what am I going to get in this story today. They take many different approaches. It's all historical fiction. It takes place in the past. I've had a really fun time with that because there's a lot of time frames that they write around that I'm familiar with or I've studied in school or I've researched because of other books I've read. It's disgusting. It's horrifying. It's so good. I've loved it. A couple of days ago, I finally started the second book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, The Bitter Twins by Jen Lyons. I am quickly approaching the halfway mark. I'm so glad to be back in this world. I love Jen Williams' writing. It is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, but this book suffers from second book, middle book syndrome. There's a whole lot of setup going on. It definitely feels like it's just a bridge from book 1 to book 3. There's not a whole lot of character development going on. There have been some interesting revelations. What I am finding most interesting at this point is getting the perspective of the alien race, the one that's basically trying to take over the world of Sarn. I'm loving getting their perspective. It's so interesting when you hear it from the people being invaded and then the creatures that are doing the invading. I want to tell you more, but if you haven't read the first book, it would be a spoiler. It is slow, it is set up. I'm still enjoying what I'm learning. I still have a long way to go. Things could definitely change. I've had books that started out this way that turned into a 5-star by the end of the book, so we'll see what happens. And then I picked up book 3 and Book of Thrice Dead series by Joseph Sale, Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I am going to finish this book tonight. I cannot stop reading it. I think this is the best one of the series so far. It's crazy. I didn't expect that. I love the first 2 books. And what's interesting about that, which I will link in the cards, the reviews for the first 2 books. The first 2 books, you could actually read independent of each other or in whichever order you want. There is a small tie-in in book 1 that leads to book 2, which I picked up on. Probably because of a certain thing that I love to read about is why I picked up on that. So if you don't share that particular thing with me, you might not notice it. However, book 3, you have to read the first 2 books to read this one because the excitement of seeing everything starting to come together and line up happens in this book. Oh my gosh, y'all. The Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Yes. There are 4 stories. Yes, we're talking about what I'm assuming, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, just based off the quotes from Revelation that comes before each of the 4 stories in this one. It's so good. As a girl who was raised in the church by her parents, even though every chance she got, she went to a different church with her friends growing up, I tried everything. Missionary Baptist Church, Methodist Church, Lutheran Church, Catholic Church, Pentecostal Church. I tried all of them. I went to all of them. I loved religion. But of course, my parents were Southern Baptist. That's where I went the majority of the time. But the one thing I loved as a kid growing up was the Book of Revelations because it scared the absolute stuff out of me. I love the part about religion, the part that has prophecy and interpretation and the scary stuff. And Joe is just absolutely delivering. Without a doubt, this is my favorite book in the series so far, but it couldn't be that without reading the first 2 books, if that makes any sense. If you read the series, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. So read the series. So this one and The Bitter Twins and American Cannibal, that is it for what I'm currently reading. As soon as I finish Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I'm going to be going right into this chunker by Kobe Zucker, Nomads of the Sea. A lot of my friends have read this book. They have loved it. I think I'm going to love it too. And that is where I will leave you today. That takes care of all the things that I have been reading this week. Definitely go down in the comments below. Let me know what you've been reading and enjoying this week. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.